So in the last class we discussed section 44 AD and section 44 ADA, which deals with presumptive taxation. Now let me discuss with you section 44 AE, which is for special types of goods carriages, which is for special type of businesses, you can say precisely the businesses which are into transportation sector. Let me show you the provisions of section 44 AE. Now you can also call this as presumptive taxation, that those businesses which are into transportation, they also have a freedom. They can follow normal provision, or if they want to apply the special provision of section 44 AE, they are free to apply these provisions also. 44 AE minimizes the work which is required while computing the income from business and profession for those businesses which are covered in section 44 AE. And these businesses are those which are into hiring, leasing, or plying goods carriages. Let me show you first section 44 AE. This is 44 AE. Special provision for computing profits and gains of business of plying, hiring, or leasing goods carriages. Notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained in sections 28 to 43C, in the case of an assessee who owns not more than 10 goods carriage at any time during the previous year, and who is engaged in business of plying, hiring, or leasing such goods carriage, etc., etc. So let me directly come to my slides where I will simplify these provisions for you. So now I'm starting with the discussion on section 44 AE. This is also a simplified section. So you note down the points. Special provisions to compute PGBP income. In case of business of plying, hiring, or leasing goods carriage. Again, always we must know the conditions, so let us see the conditions required. Two conditions are there. First of all, any assessee. So practically it is not a condition. Any assessee, everyone can claim this 44 AE if other conditions are satisfied. Business of, you are into the business of plying, hiring, or leasing goods carriage. And third condition is you should not be the owner of not more than 10 goods carriage. At any time during the previous year. Maximum 10 goods. If you are having more than 10 goods carriage at any time, then you cannot claim this 44 AE. This at any time is very much relevant. Now suppose on 27th June 2020, suppose I was having 10 goods, 10 trucks. Next day on 28th June 20, I sold 2 trucks. Next to next day, suppose on 29th June 20, I purchased 1 truck. Can you tell me if this is the situation, can this assessee claim section 44 AE? In this year, can you tell me this assessee can claim section 44 AE or not?
Yes.
Why?
Since he never exceeded 10 goods carriage at any particular point of time.
Yes.
Maximum yard was 10.
Yes, he never exceeded that 10 limit. Don't say that this is the purchase, this is sale, and this is purchase. Don't count this total purchase 10 plus 1 11. No, at any time, like on 27th I had 10, on 28th I had 8 trucks, on 29th I had 9 trucks. So at any point of time, at any single point of time, I never exceeded 10 goods carriage limit. Is the point clear? Please raise your hand. If this point is clear, please raise your hands. Next point. Now, if these conditions are satisfied, then how much is the income? How much is the income? So how do you compute income? How much is the income? If these conditions are satisfied, how much is the income? Now, income depends upon what type of truck is that. Is this a heavy goods carriage, heavy truck, or other than heavy goods carriage, or a carriage which is other than heavy? What is heavy goods carriage? When the weight exceeds 12,000 kilogram. A goods carriage whose weight exceeds 12,000 kg. 1 ton is equal to 1000 kg. So practically I can say that any goods carriage whose capacity exceeded 12 ton, that is heavy goods. If not exceeded, that means till 12,000 kg, till 12,000 kg other than heavy. In case of heavy goods carriage, the income is equal to rupees 1000 per ton PGBP income is equal to rupees 1000 per month per ton. For the period when the carriage is owned by the SSE, use does not matter. Owned. Even if I have not used it, still I have to compute the income. So do remember that when I was computing depreciation under section 32, I was concerned with use. But when I am computing 44A income, I'm not concerned with use. I'm concerned with ownership of the goods carriage owned by the SSE. Second thing, this 1000 per ton is for per month or part of the month. Now do remember, in salaries at so many places we were saying that every fraction of the month is ignored. Now it is not ignored. Even if you are having the ownership of this heavy good truck, even for a single day in any month, you will compute it for the entire month. So 1000 per month per ton, during which the carriage is owned by the SSE, and in case the goods are not heavy, then the income is not on the basis of ton, flat 7500 per month or part of the month. Again, for the period, for the ownership period of this is ownership, for owned by the SSE, ownership here. In case of heavy goods, you does not depend on month only, you depend on ton. Other than heavy goods, only flat 7500 per month. Ton doesn't matter. Third point, higher income if you want, no problem. Higher income can be declared by the SSE, no problem. Government says there is no problem. If you want to show higher income, why there is a problem from our side? So can be declared by the SSE if the SSE wants. If interested, there is no problem. It is also optional section, not compulsory. It's your choice. You want to apply it, you apply, otherwise not. Optional application of this section is there. No further deduction. So no means no further deduction. But here there is an exception. Here there is an exception, and the exception is partnership firm. Except there is partnership firm. Except the firm. That means whatever PGBP you have computed by that 1000 per month or 7500 per month, whatever income you have you have got, one thing you can still deduct, and that is what? If you are a firm, then remuneration paid to partners and interest paid to partners is allowed to be deducted further. Remuneration to partners as well as interest to partners allowed to be deducted further. Of course, if I am saying it is allowed, means it should be as per the provisions of section 40 clause B. It doesn't mean that everything is allowed. Whatever is legally allowed as per the provisions of section 40 clause B, that you can still deduct after computing the income as per these provisions. In other sections, 44AD, 44AE, nothing was deducted. When in 44AD you were computing 8% of 6%, nothing was deducted further. In 44ADA, nothing was deducted further when you computed 50%. But in 44AE, after computing 7500 per month or 1000 per month per ton, you can still deduct. If you are a firm, you can still deduct remuneration to partners and interest to partners, of course, as per the provisions of section 40 clause B. That's it. Please raise your hand if this point is clear. Then I'll discuss the numerical of 44 AE and we will wind up the chapter then.
Sir, on last slide.
Yes, yes.
Sir, on last slide, is it that the weight of trucks that
Yeah, yeah. Weight of trucks or unladen weight. So practically it is the weight of the truck. Because
okay, sir.
normally it is not possible to have the weight of only the items which are loaded. Normally what happens is that how you calculate the weight of items only. Empty truck and then with loaded items. Then you get the idea that how much is the weight of the items basically. That is why on roadsides you can find dharam kata. Have you seen those dharam kata, that thing?
Yes, sir.
So complete truck goes there and total weight comes. Because it is not easy to exactly check the weight of the item. First you will unload and then load. It becomes very problematic then. So what is the best way to check in case of trucks? Total weight. Point clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so let us discuss the numerical from my book on 44 AE. Or let me go to the next page. Now see this example. Suppose there is an assessee X, Mr. X. He started a business on 1st June 2020 and the business is of goods vehicle, operating goods vehicle. Whether on lease or hire, but operating goods vehicle. And he gave the following information that this is the information which he has given to us. Vehicle category, vehicle A. So these are the categories of vehicle based on the weight, tons. Vehicle B, vehicle C. This is the category. What is the vehicle weight in kg? Vehicle weight is 14,000 kg, 12,000 kg and 9,000 kg. How many such trucks are there? Vehicle A whose weight is 14,000 kg. There are 5 such trucks, 2 trucks, 3 trucks. Purchase date 1st June 20, 31st July 20, 18th November 20. What is the use date? 1st June 20, 1st December 20, 30th April 21. This is the use date. Another information given in the question is that out of 3 vehicles C, of category vehicle C, one is sold one vehicle is sold on 26th Feb 21. 26th Feb 21. Second point. Now, he has computed the income as follows. So what income he has shown? So his calculation of income, second point, his calculation of income he has shown freight collected 70 lakh, less expenses, salary to employees, 45 lakh, depreciation section 32, 14 lakh, office expense 1 lakh, so PGBP income is 15 lakh, sorry 10 lakh, I think 10 lakh. Other sources 3 lakh, and his total income is 13 lakh. You are a tax consultant. There is no additional depreciation. Now this is the question, and now your as a tax consultant, your advice is required. So how will you advise? First thing, my job as a tax consultant is what? Simply to compute that, simply to go by that calculation which minimizes the tax liability of my client. That's it. So what is the income now? So how will I ask a question to myself as a tax consultant? So my solution will proceed in this way, that my job is to simply compute total income. Solution is computation of total income. To compute total income of this assessee, I need income of all the heads. So the first head is PGBP. And what is the income of PGBP? So here the main issue starts. Note 1. I have two options. First, I will compute PGBP income as per normal provision. What is normal other than 44AE? What is normal? Normal means what? That follow all the provisions of section 29, 30 to 35, 36, 37, subsection 1, 40 clause A, 40 clause B, 43B. This is normal. So when I followed this normal, I found that credit side 70 lakh is correctly shown. Debit side salary to employees correctly shown. Debit side depreciation correctly shown. Debit side office expenditure correctly shown. What is the PGBP as per normal provision? 10 lakh. This is first answer. That I satisfied myself that whatever calculation my assessee has done, my client has done, is that as per the provisions of Income Tax Act normal provision? Answer is yes in my example. So I will say that as per normal provision, your PGBP income is 10 lakh. This is one portion of this question. Second, now I will compute PGBP income as per special provision. Special provision of section 44AE. But before going with 44AE, I must know that what are the conditions of 44AE? First of all, it is applicable to every assessee. Yes, to Mr. X it is applicable. He is into the business of plying, hiring or leasing goods vehicle. So operating means I am into any of such business. It can be plying, leasing or hiring. Third, at any point of time during my year, I'm not the owner of more than 10 goods carriage. So the total is 5 plus 2 plus 3, only 10. At any single point of time, you will not find me that I have trucks more than 10. So all the conditions of 44 AE are satisfied. When you attempt any numerical in the examination, don't forget to mention the theoretical conditions. Some of the people, the students will start directly compute the income as per 44 AE. No. First, you show to the examiner that you know the theoretical conditions, you have applied those theoretical conditions, and then you have come to the conclusion that 44 AE can be applied in the present case. Always write the theory, even if you are attempting any numerical, because the theory is the base of any numerical. So if you compute the income as per 44 AE, how will you compute? So I will prepare a small table because it depends upon now the tons. First, which vehicle was sold? Vehicle C. So I will not touch vehicle C for the time being. Let us compute the income of vehicle A. So vehicle A. For vehicle A, what is the income? Is it a large vehicle? Is it a heavy goods vehicle? Yes. Because 14,000 kg means 14 ton. That means it is more than 12 ton. In this case, answer depends upon tons also. So 1,000 per ton per month. So what is the income? Rupees 1,000 per ton. How many tons are there in one truck? 14 tons. Total how many trucks are there? 5 trucks. How many months are there? Starting from June till June, July, August, September, October, November, December, Jan, Feb, March. 10 months. June to March. So this comes how much? 1,000 into 14 into 5 into 10. 7 lakh rupees. This is the value of this truck as per 44 AE. B. Now it is exactly 12,000. That means it does not exceed 12,000. So it is not known as heavy. It is not known as heavy now. So in this case, the answer is 7,500 per month. So 7,500 per month. How many months are there? So 10 is the month, 5 is the vehicle. Here how many months are there? Use date doesn't matter. Ownership date 31st July. So in July it is owned by me only for 1 day. Still I will take 7,500. So July to March. So practically 9 months. And how many trucks are there? 2. So 2 vehicles into 9 months. Or the better way is you multiply months first and then vehicle. Okay, this is the better way. First let us compute for one vehicle. That is the better way.
Sir, could you repeat why these are 9 months?
Because it was owned by me on 31st July itself. So in July I was having the ownership of this truck.
So we include July also.
Yeah, we include July also.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So number of vehicles you multiply later on. So how many months? It was 10 months. So this is the per truck value multiplied by 5 vehicles. Similarly, this is 9 months per truck value multiplied by 2 vehicles. So it comes out to be 135, I think. Then vehicle C. In vehicle C, there are 2 categories. One is sold. So ignore this sold. Out of 3, 2 were never sold, 1 was sold. So let us compute first for these 2. So other than heavy goods vehicle, flat 7,500 per month multiplied by how many months? November, December, Jan, Feb, March, 5 months. Use does not matter. Even if it is not used in my year, doesn't matter. I have to compute November to March. First two vehicles, 75,000. And for sold vehicle, I will compute separately. Vehicle C, but this one is sold. 7,500 per month into how many months? I sold it in Feb. Okay, in Feb I sold it. So for this one vehicle, I will say that November to Feb. 4 months into one vehicle which is sold. 28,000. Sorry, 30,000. So total becomes 9,40,000. So as a tax consultant, I will say that my PGBP as per normal is 940. So there is no benefit in following the normal provision. I should follow special provision of 44 AD AE, and I will write PGBP as 940. Income from other sources, because these provisions only if affect PGBP head, no other head, and no other deduction. Those will go as usual, 3 lakh. So this is the total income because there is no deduction. So 12 lakh 40 becomes the total. 12 lakh 40 is the answer. Yes. Please raise your hand if section 44 AE is also over. From your side, if there is no problem, please raise your hands. Very good. Now, last section, section 145. Now it is only a theoretical section. File is being saving, so please, file is being saved, so you please wait. Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, section 145, method of accounting. Do remember that in PGBP and income from other sources, I have my choice as an assessee. I can follow accrual basis of accounting, or I can follow cash basis. It's my choice. Department doesn't object to it. So for the timing, let me concentrate only on PGBP. If in PGBP I am preparing my P&L account on accrual basis, I will record the income when it might not have been actually received, but it has become accrued. I will record it, even though I have not received. Similarly, I will record the expenses when these have become due, even if not paid. And when I prepare the account on cash basis, I will record the income when it is actually received by me. Accrued or not doesn't matter. And I will record the expenses when these are actually paid by me. Whether due or not doesn't matter. That's it. This is what section 145 is. So I will discuss now a full-fledged question on each of these bases. When I have to compute P&L account on accrual basis, and another question when I have to compute P&L account on cash basis. So if I say cash basis, I'll be having receipt and payment account with me. If you say cash basis, you will be having receipt and payment account. And when you say accrual basis, we'll be having P&L account directly. I will show you this with the help of numericals. So before proceeding with these two numericals, write collectively one point somewhere that what benefits are not allowed when any assessee opts for optional taxation scheme. Benefits not allowed. While computing income under the head PGBP, in case the assessee has opted for optional taxation scheme under section 115 BAC. Do you remember which benefits are not allowed? So earlier I have told you, but I don't think it's easy to remember all those. So please note down if you don't remember. What benefits you cannot give when the assessee opts for optional taxation scheme? Additional depreciation not allowed. Normal depreciation allowed, but additional depreciation not allowed. Second, in case of scientific research, when you donate for scientific research, within this, which donations are not allowed? Amount paid to a notified research association, three category of expenses are not allowed: notified research association, or amount paid to a notified university, college, etc. Not allowed. Then amount paid to a company. I don't know whether you now remember section 35 or not, but there were 5 different points available in 35: revenue expenditure, capital expenditure, payment to college, payment to national laboratory, payment to a company to be used for scientific research, etc. These 3 are not allowed. Amount paid to a company, to be used by it for scientific research. Amount paid to a national laboratory. oblique IIT. So under normal provision, 100% of payment is allowed as deduction. But if you opt for optional taxation scheme, you will lose these benefits. You cannot claim these benefits. Deduction in respect of specified business not allowed. Under section 35 AD, what are deductions are available in respect of specified businesses? As I told you earlier also, calculation of specified business is not in our course. But numerically, you must know that deduction which is available in respect of specified business under section 35 AD not allowed. All other deductions will continue to be allowed. Remaining will continue to be allowed even if you opt for optional taxation scheme. Remaining will continue to be allowed even if someone opts for optional taxation scheme. Now you can note down this point. If you have noted down, please raise your hands. And then let us discuss a small numerical.
Sir, I just want to confirm that when any capital expenditure incurred by the assessee himself or itself, so is
That
it
will be allowed.
Okay,
That
okay,
will be allowed even if you opt for optional taxation scheme.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So let us.
Presumptive taxation schemes are also allowed under
Yeah,
115 BC.
there is no problem. You can continue opt for presumptive taxation. Now let us discuss a numerical. So let me show you a numerical from my book and let us wind up this numerical. Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
So take the screenshot of this page. I will be starting with question number 6. Above is not relevant. I'll be starting with 6th question. So please take the screenshot of this page and then raise your hands. Next page. Wait. Yes, this page. If you have taken the screenshot, please raise your hands. Okay, let us start discussing this case now. Miss X, 40 years, resident individual, furnishes the following information for the previous year 2021. Profit and loss account for the year ending 31st March 21. Purchase is salary, bonus and commission, debit side. Household expenses, advertisement expenses, depreciation, gift to customers, income tax, donation to National Defence Fund, life insurance premium on life of SSC, provision for bad debts, contribution to National Laboratory for Applied Scientific Research, employers' contribution towards recognized provident fund, new net profit. Credit side, sales, bad debt recovered earlier allowed in earlier years by the assessing of 2000. Interest on debentures of Reliance Industries, refund of income tax paid in advance, short-term profit on sale of investment, gift received from father. Always read the question first. Additional information. Salary, bonus and commission include salary to proprietor 50,000, bonus paid to employees 2nd November 21, 30,000 salary paid to brother 20,000 found reasonable, found excessive. Advertisement expenses include something, depreciation 40,000, computer taxable income for the assessment year 21-22, assuming she has not opted for optional taxation scheme under section 115 BAC. Let us start solving. So I'm not computing PGBP income. I have to compute total income. Always in such questions, always start from additional information because you do not know what is written in additional information. So let me start. Let me first discuss it for 15 minutes and then I will simply solve it. Salary, bonus and commission include. So how much is salary, bonus and commission given? If you see the question, 4,40,000 total salary, bonus and commission is given. Salary, bonus and commission paid to the employees is valid. There is no problem. It's a business expenditure, but what it includes, if you see the detail, you will find that it includes salary to proprietor. Miss X herself collected salary of 50,000. It is not allowed. As a businessman, as a sole proprietor, you can pay salary to your employees. You cannot take any salary for your own work. It is not allowed. So 50,000 needs rectification. So what I will do? One way of attempting the question is you prepare the above P&L account again as per the provisions of Income Tax Act. The above P&L account is prepared as per the provisions of Companies Act, or it might have been prepared as per the provisions of Income Tax Act, but still it is not complete as per the provisions of Income Tax Act. There are still so many problems in this P&L account. Rather than preparing new P&L account, the better way is take this net profit as correct profit for the time being. You assume that this profit is correct for the time being and just simply make adjustments. So this adjustment work will convert this wrong profit, wrong means it is not as per the provisions of Income Tax Act, into correct profit as per the provisions of Income Tax Act. It is simple way to attempt such questions. Why should I waste my time in attempting or in solving or in preparing the P&L account again? If already P&L account is given, maybe 10, 20, 30% is not correct, but remaining is correct. So I will start from net profit and I will start simply making adjustments. So what will be my first adjustment? Can you tell me what will be my first adjustment?
So addition of salary to proprietor.
Yes, I will add back 50,000 in this profit. I will say that salary to proprietor is disallowed expense. It is not allowed. I will add back. Then bonus paid to employees on 2nd November 21, 30,000. Can you think what I will do with this point? Bonus paid on 2nd November 21. Can you think what I will do with this point?
So we'll add it back.
Why?
So because according to 43B, this has not been actually paid, which is why it will not be allowed to be deducted.
It is actually paid. It is actually paid on 2nd November. You cannot say that it is not actually paid.
Not actually paid during the assessment year or before due date of filing returns.
Yes. This bonus is the expenditure of 2020-21. 30,000. It is allowed in 2021 on the condition that you actually pay it till 31st March 21, and if not till 31st March 21, at least by due date of filing return of income of 2021, which is 31st July 2021. This is what section 43B says, and bonus is covered in 43B. 43B also says that nothing to worry. If you have not paid actually this expense till due date, we will still allow you the deduction. In which year? In the year in which you actually pay. So when I'm actually paying it 21-22, so I will deduct 30,000 in 21-22, but I have wrongly deducted it in 2021, so I will add back 30,000 in 2021 P&L account. Next point. Salary paid to brother 20,000. Is salary paid to brother fine? Is there any objection when I pay salary to my brother?
No, sir, only if it's in excess to what it would be paid in the market.
Yes. So salary paid to brother is fine. My brother can work in my own shop. I can pay salary to my brother. But as per section 40A, 40 capital A, subsection 2, it should not be unreasonable. Payment to relatives if unreasonable is disallowed. I found that 5,000 is excess. I will add back 5,000. This is the treatment of first 3 points. Then advertisement expense includes a bill of 40,000 which is paid through bearer check. It is not account pay check. Can you tell me what is the problem here now? Advertisement expenditure is 1,30,000. Out of 130, there is a 40,000 payment which I made through bearer check. What is the problem?
Any payment made in excess of 10,000, if not paid through account pay check or through online banking means, it is disallowed to be deducted the entire amount.
Yes, so I will add back 40,000 as per section 40 capital A subsection 3. Payment exceeding 10,000 should not be cash, in cash, add back. Next point. Depreciation under section 32 is 40,000. And how much depreciation I have shown? 32. That means I will deduct further additional 8,000 because 32 might be as per my accounting standards. But if legally under the Income Tax Act, I'm allowed 40,000, why only 32? I will deduct 8,000 again. The purpose is not to simply inflate the P&L account. The purpose is to correctly prepare the account so that it gives me correct profit. So it can be plus or it can be minus. So I will deduct 8,000 extra. Next then. Now when my additional information will be over, only then I should come at P&L account. So now I will start checking debit side one by one. Purchases, fine. Salary, bonus, commission, fine. No problem. Household expense, problematic. These are my personal expenditure. If you read section 37 subsection 1, the condition was it should not be a personal expenditure. So since this expenditure is my personal expenditure, it will not be allowed. I will add back. Advertisement done. Depreciation done. Gift to customer allowed. As a businessman, to expand my business, I can give gift to my customer. There is no problem. It's not my personal expenditure. It's allowed. So you have to think logically also when you attempt PGBP chapter. Income tax disallowed. Do you remember section 40? Section 40 clause A, and it was sub clause 2. Payment of income tax is disallowed. Even if you have not read that, or even if you don't remember section 40 clause A, still logically you cannot debit P&L account by income tax. It's not your expenditure. First to earn the profit, pay the tax. So you don't first pay the tax and then earn the profit. Add back. Donation to National Defence Fund. Can you tell me what is the treatment of this point? Donation to National Defence Fund. Can you think logically? Yes?
Deduction under section 80C.
80G. It is 80G. It is your donation. It has nothing to do with your business expenditure. So you add back here and you can claim this as deduction as per the provisions of section 80G. Life insurance premium on the life of the assessee. Can you tell me the treatment of this point?
So adding it back because it's a personal expense.
Yes, I will add it back. It is my personal expenditure and I can claim this as what?
Under 80E, I guess.
Deduction under section 80C. Provision for bad debt. Can you tell me the treatment of this point? Provision for bad debt.
Disallowed.
Disallowed because actual bad debts are allowed, not provision only. Otherwise, if you start, some provisions are allowed. Provision for gratuity fund can be allowed. Provision for bad debt for some special assesses can also be allowed, but for semester 3 level, provision for bad debt is never allowed. So you should not say that every provision is disallowed. Most of the provisions are disallowed, or almost every provision is disallowed except 2 to 3. Like gratuity fund is the provision which can be allowed if conditions are satisfied. Section 43B expense, 43B, where you have to actually pay, those provisions can be allowed, provided these are actually paid till due date of filing return of income. Because if I am writing the word provision here, it means this expenditure is that for that provision which is unpaid till 31st March 21. I can pay it after 31st March 21 and before due date of filing return of income. So provisions for 43B expenses can also be allowed, provided these have been paid till due date of filing return of income, because this is the provision, this is the position till 31st March. I hope you have understood this point. Contribution to National Laboratory for Applied Scientific Research allowed under Section 35, no problem. Employer's contribution towards recognized provident fund allowed as per Section 36, if you remember. Credit side, sales, no issue. Bad debt recovered earlier allowed in earlier allowed deduction, so there is no problem. Maybe in some earlier years I have shown this much as bad debt on the debit side, so when I am recovering it, I will show it as credit side. If you remember, it is my section 41. If you don't remember, you have to read now PGBP. Interest on debentures of Reliance Industries. It is not my business income. It is my income from other sources. So what I will do? Can you tell me what I will do with this 25,000?
Subtract it.
I will first subtract it from the profit and I will add it later on under the head IFOS. Refund of income tax paid in advance. Can you tell me the treatment of this point? Refund of income tax paid in advance.
So we'll subtract it.
We will subtract it because it is not my business income, and we will add it where?
Income from other
sources.
We will add it nowhere because technically it is not my income. It was my income tax which was paid to the department, and I'm getting the refund of it. So technically it is not an income. So I will not add it anywhere. Short-term profit on sale of investment, short-term profit. It is my short-term capital gain. I will deduct it when I'm computing PGBP, and I will add it when I'll compute other total income under the head capital gain. Gift received from father.
Income from other source.
Income. I will deduct it, and I will show it where under the head income from
other sources.
So now basically you need to, now this is basically merging of all the provisions of Income Tax Act. Let us start attempting the numerical now. Any problem you can ask me, but confidence in this chapter will come gradually when you start practicing some numericals.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes, yes.
Sir, why we show gift received from father? Because we are receiving gift from relative.
मैंने ये कहा कि आप शो करेंगे, मैंने ये तो नहीं बोला कि आप कुछ ऐड भी करेंगे, आप शो तो करेंगे ना, गिफ्ट फ्रॉम फादर यू विल राइट एग्जेम्प्ट.
Okay, sir. Good.
Okay. So let us start. So I have my book with me. So you must be having screenshot. And now I will tell you the format. One numerical. Now technically this is a numerical where I'm not following cash basis of accounting. Had it been cash basis of accounting followed, I would have been given receipt and payment account. Okay, it is not receipt and payment account. So this numerical is one numerical which I have attempted, and this numerical is that where the P&L account is on accrual basis. After attempting this question in the next class, I will discuss a numerical where I will prepare P&L account on cash basis. So this is a full-fledged numerical of accrual base. So I will discuss only one numerical, rest you have to practice from the book or any other material which you are having. Page 6.51. Example 6 or problem 6. Let us start attempting it. It is not tough. PGBP is tough because there are many provisions, but once you get little bit confidence in learning the provisions of PGBP, you will find it very interesting. Always start PGBP questions with the net profit if available. So what is the net profit as per P&L account? I'm writing short form NP. Don't write it in the exam. Always write full form. 5.3. After this, always prepare a heading. Add expenses disallowed, because most of the expenses are those which will be added. Expenses disallowed. Always start with additional information. So my first was salary to proprietor disallowed. Don't write short form. I am writing short form just to save the time. Otherwise, write full form. Salary to proprietor 50,000 disallowed because it was shown above in the heading bonus. Bonus to employees disallowed. Why? Not because it is invalid. It is paid after due date. So because of section 43B, I'm disallowing this expenditure. 30,000. I have discussed it. Any problem you can ask me. Salary to brother, payment to relative. Basically, it is payment to relative. There is no need to write this section. I'm writing it just for your reference. Otherwise, in the examination, you are not supposed to write these sections because it is not expected at semester 3 students will learn the sections. 5,000 add back. Advertisement. Advertisement in cash. Payment in cash. 40A subsection 3. Add back 40,000. Depreciation. So I will deduct it further. So I am leaving some lines blank. That confidence you will get gradually. That how many lines to be left as blank. And then you can write somewhere depreciation. I have deducted only 32. In reality, I can deduct 40. So why not to deduct 8,000 now? Deduct it. Come to the debit side when my adjustment is over. Purchases, fines, salary, fines, household expense, personal nature, add back. 2,500. Advertisement done, depreciation done, gift to customer done, income tax, add back. It is not a business expenditure. Donations to National Defence Fund. How much? 2,500 add back. And later on when you will give 80G, later on when you will give deductions. So somewhere you can write deductions under section 80 and there you can write 80G. Now if you remember 80G, there are two categories of donation in 80G. Some are without limit, some are within limit. And in both this category with or without limit, 150, 150. Do you remember National Defence Fund is covered under which category? Limit or without limit?
Sir, without limit.
Without limit.
Without limit. And how much percentage?
100.
100%.
Yes. So this is how you attempt the numericals in real life. Now we are basically into the final phase of course, income tax. So this is how we attempt the income of any SSC. LIC on the life, it's personal expenditure. Life insurance premium paid on the life of not employee assessee. It's personal expenditure. But yes, if you have paid it, you have a TC with you. Life insurance premium paid 2,000. Provision for bad debt disallowed. Almost every provision is disallowed, but provision for gratuity fund 43B expenses can be allowed subject to some condition. Provision of bad debt also is allowed, but only for those assessors which are not in our course. That is why for semester 3 you disallow provision for bad debt. At higher level you will find that in some cases it can be allowed. 2,000. Contribution to national laboratory fine, employers contribution fine, that's it. So all my debit or all the category of expenses which are to be added are over. Total 50 plus 30 plus 5 plus 40 plus 2,500 plus 19 plus 2,500 plus 2,000 plus 2,000. It is 1,53,000. You can check the total also yourself. Coincidentally, net profit was also 553. It has 153. So that is coincidence only. 7 lakh 6 minus 8, 698. Now let us come to the credit side. Less. First item was sales fine, bad debt. Yes, yes. Any doubt?
Sir, I said first was interest on debentures.
Okay. Sales was fine, bad debt recovered as per section 41 subsection 1. That is correctly shown on the credit side. Interest on debenture. So I will write a heading. The heading is what? Income. So I'm saying that something is income not related to PGBP. This is my heading. It is not related to PGBP, but it is my income. Interest on debentures. How much? 25,000. Refund of income tax. I cannot write this refund of income tax under this heading because refund of income tax is not at all an income. So I will write it separately. Less refund of income tax. You must know that what heading you are giving. When you are saying income not related to PGBP, you are saying that something is income but not PGBP. But refund of income tax is not at all an income. However, any interest which you will get along with this refund, that interest on refund becomes your income from other sources, because you paid 20,000, for example. Government has refunded 21,000 to you. So 20,000 is not an income, but 1,000 is your income from other source. It is not with interest. So it is basically my original amount of income tax. 1,000 deducted. Short-term profit on sale of investment. It is STCG. 31,000. Gift from father. 22,000. So total is 78,000, I think. So when you deduct it, 698 minus 78, it will be 6,20,000. When you deduct it one, so it becomes 6,19,000 is my PGBP. 6,19,000 is PGBP. Is it clear till 6,19,000? Please raise your hand if 6,19,000 is clear. It is PGBP. Please raise your hand if 6,19,000 is clear. Now it is only normal provision. I cannot say that this is my final PGBP. I have to apply section 44 AD also. Okay, so examiner will not tell whether you have to apply 44 AD also or not. You have to do it yourself. So it is 6,19,000. Now this is all working note going on. So it was my working note number 1 basically. I forgot to leave some lines blank for the fair note where I have to compute total income. So I have written directly from working note 1 just to save my time. So this is basically computing PGBP income as per normal provision. This was working note 1. Now working note number 2. In the final, you must remember that you have to leave some space for fair note, and then you should start from working note. I just to save the time, I directly started from working note, but you should not do it for final. Working note number 2. Compute PGBP income as per 44 AD presumptive taxation, because all the conditions are satisfied. The assessee is resident. Here he is not claiming any deduction under section 80 IAB, IBA, 80 QQB, RRB, TTA, TTB, 10AA. He is not claiming any deduction. Sales does not exceed to crore because sale is 15,72,000 only. Assessee is not in the business of hiring, leasing or plying goods carriage. So 44 AD is applicable by default. If applicable, the simple PGBP 44 AD gives me is sales multiplied by, since nothing is given as online or offline, so I will assume that everything is offline. 8%. It is my assumption. It is my assumption. You can assume 6% also, but then you will assume that the transaction has been done through online banking. Online banking is banking channel, etc. So it is based on assumption. You must know that assumption works. For examination level, assumption works because in real life there is no scope of assumption. Everything is clear. Your client will directly tell you that this much is cash, this much is non-cash. But in the questions, so many times examiners also do not take into consideration this seriously about assumption. Otherwise, as an examiner, we must make sure that there is no scope of any assumption. The points are clearly mentioned. But you can give assumption. So I am taking assumption of 8% because I'm thinking that this is not through online channel. So it will give me PGBP 125,760. So which option is better? Showing PGBP 125,760 or showing PGBP 6,19,000? Which option is better?
125,760.
Which option is better?
Sir, under 44 AD.
Yes, but I want to take 6,90,000. Again, it's my choice. This I want to show you because when I go by 144 AD, it doesn't come without condition. With this, the main condition required will be what? Can you tell me what is the main condition required?
For 5 years, you have to.
Yes, for the next 5 years, then I have to follow 44 AD. Now suppose I am such type of assessee who is not sure about following 44 AD in future. So it's my choice. 44 AD is not compulsory. This is what I wanted to show you, that it's my choice. So I will say that in spite of showing 44 AD less PGBP income, I will still go by normal provisions. So I wanted to show you is that is also correct. I am under no obligation to go by that option which minimizes my PGBP income and I will pay less tax. No, it's my choice. So I am still going. So I will write that in spite of showing, in spite of getting less or lesser PGBP income, in spite of getting lesser PGBP income as per section 44 AD, I being the assessee is opting for normal provision of PGBP. It's my choice. No one can stop me. Normal provision of PGBP. It's my choice. Okay. So if it is my choice, then I will show my PGBP as 6,90,000. Now the fair work starts because the question was saying that compute taxable income. This all was working note. So in the next screen, now this is my fair work. That this was actually the fair work. I should have left around 10 to 20 lines. Computation of total income of Miss X. For the AY, don't write short form in the examination. Try to write full form. Not try to write, you must write full form. Now, let us start. Is there any salary income given of Miss X? No. Is there HP given? No. But there is a PGBP income. And now I will write working note. Note 1 and note 2, where I have taken the decision that I will go by normal provision, though it is showing more income, but I will say that there is no issue. Is there any capital gain? Yes, there is a short-term capital gain. How much?
31,000.
31,000. Is there any other sources? Yes, there are two incomes of other sources. Interest on debenture, 25, and gift from father, nil. We have not yet covered this provision, I think. I don't know whether we have covered it or not, but gift from relative is tax free and father is covered in the definition of relative. Gift from relative is tax free. As per section 56 subsection 2, it is tax free, but I have to write it nil. So this is is exempt. When we will do other sources, then you will know that what is exactly gift. We have to cover the provision of gift in detail. After PGBP, I will discuss firm in one class, and in one class itself, I will discuss income from other sources. Remaining chapters, I have shown the video links, and I hope you are revising those from there, because those are very easy now. This is my, that's it. Gross total income. How much is GTI now? 6,19,000 plus 31 plus 25, it becomes 675. From this deductions, I know that there are two deductions which I have noticed: ATC life insurance premium and ATG for donation to a national defense fund. The amount was 2000 LIP. Okay, this was basically, now I will write here 2,500. This is what the question is: total income minus 2000 minus 2500. 670,500 is the correct answer. That's it. So what I wanted to show you in this question was, first, accrual basis. I have adopted accrual basis because question itself is adopting accrual basis. Otherwise, I would have been given this information that SSC has followed cash system, because following cash is exceptional. So if nothing is mentioned, we follow the general provision, which is accrual basis. Second, I wanted to show you that though my presumptive taxation section can show me less income, but still it's my choice. I'm not under any obligation to follow presumptive taxation. I'm willing to pay more tax, so it's my choice. That I also wanted to show. And I also wanted to show you that you examiner will not tell you in every question that apply presumptive taxation. You have to think yourself when you are computing PGBP income, is any of the three presumptive taxation section of 44AD, ADA or 44AE is applicable or not. That's all from my side, and tomorrow we will discuss one numerical where we will be following cash basis system. Along with this, I will discuss one topic of capital gain. I don't know whether you remember or not, where capital gain in case of depreciable asset, how to be computed, that was left. Now I will discuss in tomorrow's class these two topics, and after this, if time permits, I will start with partnership form also. That's all from my side. In case you have any query in this topic, you can stay and rest can leave. Goodbye for now. Please start practicing income tax now. Thanks.